Hey guys, it's Nyala here, and today I've decided to release a set of packs for Ableton Live that are completely free. With it being so long since my last release, I decided to release a couple on here, and so I'll have a look at them. On here we've got my first one, which I called Sophie's Voice, which is a set of recordings from one of my old flatmates at uni. And what I've done is I've just mapped some simple effects and stuff and routed them through. So on here you've got things like attack and release, so you can get some pad-like sounds if you really want. As you can hear, it's set to re-trigger mode, but obviously you can change that if you want. I've got a compressor built in, just a glue compressor. A low cut, because sometimes, especially if you're dealing with like long reverb tails like here, things can start to sound a little bit muddy, so I've put that in just to cut out some of the low end, which is quite nice. I've also got a chorus built in, which I think gives it some really nice stereo space, so without it you've got quite a nice focused sound. If you pop it on though, you get a bit of movement, which is nice. I really like this Break Me Dial, which is actually linked to I think it's an instance of erosion. Yep. So if I turn that up, all it is just the amount. Obviously if you want, you can go in here and edit the width and frequency controls and all that lot, but it's very simple. I placed it after the chorus, so you actually just sort of break up and distorting the chorus signal, which is nice. Before the chorus I've put an instance of overdrive as well, which I really like. Again, all that is just a dry wet mix, which you can get some nice sounds out if you use it sparingly. Then the next pack I've made is one called the Vorgan, which is a set of recordings. It's similar in the sense that it's vocal recordings, but it's actually three. So using the same sample of Sophie's voice, then we've got another female voice and a male voice for the low end stuff, and then an effects rack on the end here, reverbs and EQs and stuff. So fairly simple. So over here you've got a voice selection dial. So down always to the far right you'll get the male voice, which is, it's kind of nasally but quite nice at the same time. Turn it around the centre, you'll get the first female voice, and then all the way to the left you get the next female voice. So as with the others, you got attack and release, so you can get those big swelling pads, which are quite nice. You can also get mixes in between the two. If you place them at sort of 11 and 2 o'clock, you can get a mix between the two female voices or the male and female. On here, this Leslie is linked to an instance of auto pan, and you turn it up, it increases the rate and, let's have a look, the rate and the amount. So have a quick look to that. Turn it up and it goes all the way to 100% on each of them. You might want to go in there and adjust them yourself, but I think it gives it a really nice organ sort of sound. So you get that Leslie style tremolo, which is nice. Like that. Then we've got just some reverbs and compressors over here. You know, really simple stuff. This is a glue compressor. This slapback is linked to this filter delay over here, which is quite nice. I think it gives it a bit of stereo width, so when you turn it up, it almost acts as a dry wet. It takes a dry out of the mix. But you can get some nice stereo width on it. And then, say actually my favourite on this rack at the minute is this Age one, which it's using EQ8, turns it into a bandpass filter, so you get some really nice filters, trying to emulate that older sort of sound. Again, if you want to go in and tweak with the EQ frequencies and stuff like that, you can do. The next two packs that I've got in here, one's a really simple one. It's just a drum kit that I built myself just because it's stuff I use frequently. It's built up from some of the inbuilt Ableton samples from some of the other kits, and some other ones that I've added myself and bits I've recorded. So I just thought it'd be useful, it's something I like to use a lot. Next one is this one called the Inyala Kalimba, which is a reworking of the plastic kalimba from Ableton within Operator, with an effects rack built on the end. So what I've got here is your simple, attack and release controls. So you can get, again, with everything else, you get those big swelling pads. Let's take these off. Then there's the sustain control, which is really nice because it lets you sort of turn it into sustained organ sounds if you want. So we've got that. Let's take those back. Then there's the glue compressor again. Just adds a bit of bite to it. Then there's an erosion right at the very end of the chain. Again, this is just an amount, which I think gives it a sort of old chiptune style sound. Gives that almost static. We've got an overdrive in the chain, which here is just linked to the drive level, so nothing. You get some really nasty sounds with that if you like. There's some weird stuff which I quite like. And then we've got a chorus in the chain as well, just linked to the dry wet, which again without the other stuff gives it a bit of that shimmering stereo width and then reverb as well, which is quite nice. That's pretty much it for that chain. I say nice and simple, but really effective. One of the other pieces I decided to introduce was this one here called the Inyala Rhodes bass. It's not strictly a bass synth. You can use it for other stuff if you really want, but it's got some really, really interesting features that I quite enjoy. So on here you've got 3 sets of samples and volume controls for them respectively. So you got, bring it down an octave, and then bring in the pluck. Gives that a bit of bite. This one I find really useful. It's got a sort of old house and garage organ type bass sound. To get some interesting stuff. Attack as well, so if you want those swells. Glue compressor gives it a bit of bite. As with others, there's a reverb on it as well, which is quite nice. I mean, you want to be careful because it can get a bit overwhelming, but Sounds good. There's a bit crush in here as well, which gets some really nasty, overly distorted sounds. And then flanger as well, which is really cool. My favourite thing in this entire pack is the repeat here, which is linked, if we have a look over here, at the beat repeat. Now the reason I love this the most is because it's linked after the reverb. So if you bring this all the way up, you get some really interesting sounds where it actually adds the beat repeat to the reverb chain itself, so you can get some really, really cool sounds. So when you've got that long reverb tail, it's not so bad. So if we get some tempo going and you have a look, there we go, see? You can hear the reverb dancing, which I think is really interesting. And that's it for the most part with that pack. That's pretty much it. There's a bass Vorgan patch which is just built on the Vorgan over here, but treat it as a preset almost. I've been using it as bass parts. But overall, if you have a play around, you can get some really cool, interesting sounds like this. One of my favourite bits is when this Sophie's voice using the overdrive and the erosion plugin, you can get some really cool soaring leads. So if you ever listen to that in a minute, you got these. I've got a pattern programmed in here. So you can get some really interesting soaring lead sounds. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. I think it's about 4, maybe 5 packs in there. Hopefully it's definitely something you'll enjoy. So thanks for checking it out, and be sure to check me out on social media. Look at my music if you want to support me, and always is my email address down at the bottom if you need to contact me for whatever reason. I'll be more than happy to help. So I'll see you next time. Thanks.